with anchors tying us to what we'll call home, even if the sight of it has not yet touched our eyes. Here we are.
Now pay attention, 007. I've always tried to teach you two things. First, never let them see you bleed. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. The Skoda Karoq, it replaced the very popular Yeti. But is it any good? Should you care? Why, let's find out, shall we? Skoda 1.5. So welcome to the 2020 Tweed Jacket Reviews Christmas special. Today we are in and around the village of White Parish, which is near Salisbury, and this is a 2018 Skoda Karoq 1.5 TSI edition. Helping me film today is Mr. Jake Bill from the Wiltshire's YouTube channel. You'll no doubt see a more thorough walk around of this car on that. He is not with me, and neither is this car's owner Fergus, because we are doing social distancing today. But nevertheless, thanks Fergus! Fergus! I didn't think that through very well, did I? Before I get into more detail about this amazing Skoda Karoq, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, to like this video, and to leave a comment below. It does help us rank higher on YouTube, and it also helps spread the love of tweed jackets all over the internet. So the Skoda Karoq was launched in late 2017 in our market, and it replaced the very popular and very well received Skoda Yeti. The other SUVs in Skoda's lineup are the Karoq, which is a little bit smaller, and you can see a review of that on the Planet Auto YouTube channel, and also the larger Kodiak. Again, Planet Auto covered that one. The engines available in the Karoq are a 1 litre TSI engine with 115 horsepower. It's very similar to the one that I used to have in my old Seat Toledo, actually. Really liked that one. It's a wet belt engine though, so I think in the longer term you need to be careful about maintenance on that one. Then there is this 1.5 litre TSI engine with 150 horsepower. The 130 horsepower engine is not fitted to the Karoq. And then there is a 2 litre turbocharged engine with 190 horsepower. One thing I have noticed about this car is that it's really easy to spin the tyres when coming out of junctions. I don't really know why that is, but just be careful about that when you're driving this manual model. It is quite wet today, but you know, just something to be aware of. The 2 litre engine, as far as I understand it, is available with 4-wheel drive. Although most Karoqs sold in our market are front-wheel drive. The trim levels available on the Karoq are SE, SE Drive, SE Technology, SE Nav Plus. I've no idea what happened to SE Nav minus, SEL, Edition, Scout, that I think has some extra body cladding, and then at the top of the range is the Sport line. Not all that the trims that I've mentioned are available at the same time. When this car was first launched, the Edition, which is this car, was top of the range. I don't know why it was called the Edition. I mean, the Launch Edition or the Special Edition perhaps, but just Edition, I don't really know. But anyway, this car's got absolutely everything on it. It's got lane keeping assistance and dual zone climate control and autonomous emergency braking and blind spot monitoring and leather seats and heated seats and just everything really that you need. This is really what should have been called the Lauren and Clement edition. I do apologise if this car is a little bit on the filthy side. It has been driven all the way from Hertfordshire today, and you know that's not really the owner's fault particularly. I like the relaxed nature of this car. I like the fact that we're in two-cylinder mode. I might say a bit later on that this car doesn't have two-cylinder mode, but it does. It has a two-cylinder mode. Whereas normally this car's got 4 cylinders. It's when you're just cruising along, it uses less fuel. The only problem is that, as we'll allude to later, the car doesn't actually seem to get that good economy for what you consider to be a modern engine. Fergus says at a long run, it's about 45 miles per gallon. I would expect a lot better for a car like this that runs in 2-cylinder mode some of the time. Nevertheless, it's very composed. The ride is actually very good. It's not as firm as the Skoda Karoq, on which this car is very heavily based. And you know, I like it. The roads around here are quite smooth, so we're not possibly going to get you know, things like camera shake. I do apologise because of the circumstances. We're actually using my own phone today for taking this footage, and it's not the best in terms of stability or in terms of picture quality, but I am using a separate microphone, so the sound quality should be good. It's a very light and easy car to drive, and we have different driving modes which we can use. We're in sport at the moment. Does that do anything? It's supposedly this car's got adjustable suspension, so that should do something. The sport mode though, the steering still seems really, really light. It's not got as much weight to it as I would imagine. If we go into individual, we can tweak with things as well. Eco, that would probably be my preference of one of these again, but it seems to have made a lot of difference to the acceleration or the steering. Possibly infinitesimally better in terms of the bumps and things, but still not particularly. Lower cars in a range just have standard suspension, and I don't see why you particularly need these driving modes. They don't seem to do a huge amount. Maybe if you fiddle around with the digital mode, so just go back into normal and see what happens with that. You do get some nice sort of graphics on the screen to show, you know, what's happened when you have actually changed the driving mode. That's nice, but a bit of a gimmick. In terms of rivals to this car, things like the Skoda Karoq that I've already mentioned, probably the Volkswagen Tiguan. They're cars that share very similar engineering. Then we have the Kia Sportage and Hyundai Tucson, the MG HS. That's a very good rival actually to this car. Similar engine, everything. And then of course things like the Peugeot 3008. You only get a 3-year warranty, of course, for Skoda, which, you know, always annoys me a little bit, but you know, can't be too critical of this car really. When it was new, it would have been in the region of £27,000. Fergus paid 23, and that coincided with the starting point for the bottom of the range at the moment. I like the high up driving position, and I like the just quiet nature of this car. It's not noisy or anything. The engine purrs away nicely. It's a very easy car to drive. The steering's very light. I mean, I'm probably going to put it back into sport mode now, just giving me an extra bit of weight for the steering. Infinitesimally, but it's still there. I like the analog dials for the temperature and the fuel level. It's just a very, very pleasant thing to pilot around. And obviously, even if you're 6'10", like Fergus says, you can actually still get comfortable in this car. Overall, I wouldn't say it's the most exciting drive I've ever had, but I still like it. Sadly, this is likely to be the last episode of True Jacket Reviews this year, and also the last episode that we do in the current way that we do it. What's happened is that sadly True Jacket Reviews has become something of an expensive thing to film, and at the moment we only get back between about 5 to 10% of what we put into the channel. which you know, isn't really the best in terms of sustainability. So we're going to have to change to actually just having Tweed jacket reviews as a special video format for special times, rather like this. I mean, this is a Christmas special after all, and you know, this is a nice car to film for it. So if you do want to sponsor an episode of Tweed jacket reviews, then obviously let me know. japl745@hotmail.com. But as far as future will go concerned, we'll probably only be filming maybe sort of these about 3 or 4 times a year, which would be a shame. But there are obviously things like sensible second-hand reviews and no budget reviews that we are going to be continuing with, so you'll still see plenty of car reviews on the channel. It's just that until, you know, we're in a position where we're earning enough money to cover the cost of making Tweed jacket reviews, we'll have to scale back production a bit. Also, I'm aware that we're very close to Christmas at the moment, and so Merry Christmas to you all. Anyway, let's park up and take a look at some of the features of this car. And for one last time, of course, we don't talk about diesels on this channel.
So I'm not disappointed now. We will not be disappointed when we get out of this place. So I'm not disappointed now. Here we are, we'll never be the same.
This car actually drives really, really well. I wasn't expecting a Skoda to be as good as this. Or maybe I should have done, because, you know, after all, I did drive back to Superb recently. Anyway, let's have a look at the Karoq's more practical side and take a look at the boot. Because this is an edition car, we have this enormous 19-inch alloy wheels. I don't know if I like cars with wheels this big, but in a ride it's not too bad actually. We'll just come round here this side a second and I'll show you the electric opening boot. Again, because we've got the edition model, we have an electric tailgate. I wouldn't say you particularly need it in this car, but it's there anyway. First of all, I'm just grabbed by this really, really clever parcel shelf, which actually hooks on just up here. Actually, if you close the boot again, which I will do in a moment, you'll see that actually that fixes really nicely. It's a very clever feature, very Skoda. Secondly, we have the reversible boot floor, which I think was an accessory. Also, we have the little torch here that is the boot light as well as the torch. But there's a 12-volt socket in here, and the car's not just got grab handles, it's actually got these rails on here that you can hook all sorts of things to. It's all really quite impressive. I think that's going to be a theme with this car. The boot volume of this car, because we've got the VarioFlex seats in this particular model, which are available on SEL trim and above, is 479 litres with the seats in this position. I mean, if you were to slide them forward, that would be raised by 100 litres. If you don't have the VarioFlex seating, then it's about 414 litres. We lift up this reversible boot floor that was an accessory. You can see underneath here we've got a space saver spare wheel, and I very much approve of that. The only thing you don't get with a VarioFlex seating is also the adjustable height boot floor. That's just not available at all unless you go for one of the lower trim levels. This edition model has got a panoramic sunroof, and we've opened the blind on it today, which makes it look really nice. The only problem is, if I just sit like this, you can see I've not got a lot of headroom, and Fergus himself is actually 6'10" tall, so this isn't the driving position, but if he was sitting here, he'd be further back, there wouldn't be a lot of legroom. I've tried moving this VarioFlex seat sort of back and forth, and it doesn't seem to want to move, but the backrest does easily move. Just pull this thing here and we can go forward and back and wherever we want to go. I'm not going to actually remove these seats because that will take some time if we do that. Maybe you'll be seeing a bit more of the seating positions on Mr. Jake Bill's little walk around he'll be doing. But it's a very practical car, this, because we've got a seat that actually lifts up like that. If you want to do things, it can also be pulled forward like that. We've got Isofix in these two outer seats as well. You can move that seat like that as well. These are picnic tables. Once you work out that actually the button for them's on the front, they move quite easily up and down like that. We've also, in this particular car, got a 12-volt socket here and 2 air vents, which is very nice. I think some models actually do come with a third zone for climate control as well. That is, I think, an option on some of them. We've got an LED map reading light up here too, and a nice big chunky grab handle, which is typical Volkswagen Group really. And of course the nice leather or leather effect upholstery. I quite like it in here. It's nice. Getting into the front of this car is just as easy as it looks like from the outside. And in here we have some nice feeling materials on the door tops. They're a bit of a step up from my old Seat Toledo, which had exactly the same interior door handles as this actually. Got this nice kind of metal effect piece of material here. Got the familiar looking window switches and electric mirror controls from lots of other cars in the VW group. We've also got the electric boot release down here, so that's 3 different ways you can operate the electric tailgate. I'm very pleased to see a 6-speed manual gearbox in this car. However, the bane of my life is the automatic parking brake, and yeah, I'm not a fan of those really. Never mind, I think all Karoqs come with them actually. The interior mirror is exactly the same as with my old Seat Toledo as well, which is not a surprise because the Toledos were built actually with the Mark IVs in the same factory as the Skoda Rapid, so it's probably the same part. Here are all the controls for the electric sunroof. We've got a panoramic roof in this car as well. As well, the blind controls, separate little lights, there's absolutely loads of them. It looks all very sophisticated really. Same climate controls here as a Seat Leon or a Mach 7.5 Volkswagen Golf. Of course we've got things like a reversing camera, stop-start, parking sensors. There's a driving mode as well because this is the Edition model and so we have different driving modes in this car. Nice clear analogue instruments like on most Skodas, and you know, this typical Skoda steering wheel that you'd find in virtually all of their models. This probably comes out of a Superb or something. Because this is the Edition car, we have this very large touchscreen. It's only got a few buttons on this side that are permanent buttons. They're not physical buttons in here, they are touch buttons. But because this is a right-hand drive car, they're probably on the wrong side for a lot of people because you'd really want them here, or actually they're over there. They're more designed for left-hand drive markets. Got a nice cubby space up the top of there, on top of the dashboard. That reminds me actually of the 2 Chevrolet Cruze I had. They had that sort of thing as well. The seats are very comfortable. I've pulled my seat significantly forward of where Fergus sits. Electric adjustment on this driver's seat, multi-stage heating of course, and dual zone climate control. I think as well in this car we've got a front heated windscreen, which is brilliant. It does feel very comfortable, as a lot of SUVs do. The something like a Sanion Tivoli is the same as that, just with a nice commanding driving position. It's not the highest one I've ever had, but it's pretty nice nevertheless. One of the things I've found a bit disappointing about this car is that the plastic quality in here doesn't seem any better than my old Toledo. Now bear in mind that's a car that cost about £12,500 when I bought it new. And we've got hard plastic just in here. And there's a bit of material there, but it's very hard wearing, I've no doubt about that, but it just feels a little bit sort of cheap to put all this plastic here. Fergus did get this car at a good discount, so you know, maybe it's not such a problem, but it's a surprising oversight. You know, Skoda make practical cars for practical people, but it just feels all a bit austere in comparison to something like an MGHS. Okay, I have my newly improved secret mission documents. Let's see if they fit in the glove box of the Karoq. Not a chance. This is one of the VW Group cars that has an issue in that just like my old Seat Toledo, The CD player is in the glove box. The memory card slot for the sat-nav is in the glove box. And so there's no room for anything. That's really disappointing in a car that's as big as this. You'd expect better than that. If we press this starter button here, which is exactly the same place again as my set Toledo. Sure, they're saving lots of money by using the same parts, and also these indicator stalks that again are exactly the same, and the wiper stalks. We have a very, very nice touchscreen. This is the edition model, so it's a 9-inch screen, and we've got very, very nice looking navigation. This is the same navigation as on a lot of VW Group cars. There are different names which Skoda use. I think one of them is Columbus, one of them is Adamson. I'm not sure which one of this is. But once it's loaded up, the screen is really, really nice and clear. The only issue with this is the postcode entry is clearly not designed for a UK market. And secondly, this sat-nav system can get out of date very quickly. And also, it doesn't really do what you'd want in terms of traffic information. It has traffic information, but it tends to be a bit delayed and not very specific. It's far better if we go back to the menu here to connect via SmartLink, which will be maybe using MirrorLink, Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Other than navigation, we of course have modes for the radio. This will be a DAB radio, yes it is. We also have ways of connecting to all sorts of things, Skoda Connect. I think you could get other apps on the screen as well. You can have images and sounds, and it's even got a setting for the air conditioning. If we press this button down here, which is a mode selector, we can have Eco, Normal, Sport or Individual. I'll be having a go at that a little bit later and seeing what difference that actually makes to the car. Only higher trimmed Karoqs actually got that facility. It's nice to be able to have a good looking screen. It looks lovely. But I don't know about its functionality. One of the things I loved about my old Toledo was the fact that there were physical buttons either side of the screen, and it was really easy to hit them without looking at it. With this, there's no haptic response to whatever you touch, so you just have to keep looking at the screen, and I think that's a shame. At least we have the good old-fashioned heater controls out of something like I say at Leon, dual zone climate control in this particular case, and you don't even have to look at these if you're familiar with them. You just sort of twiddle the buttons like that. That's a very good thing. In terms of this little screen in front of me, one improvement I have over lesser models in the Volkswagen Group is this central screen. It's not massive, but it is a colour screen, and we can go through the various kind of modes and things that you want to look at. We've got telephone, vehicle, driving data. Let's just see what the average fuel consumption is of this particular car. Fergus told me that actually on a long run you get about 45 miles per gallon and sort of high 30s in general use. It's a bit disappointing considering that's what I would expect or better from a Sunroof Tivoli. That's got a very old tech 1.6 litre normally aspirated engine. You expect with this high tech 1.5 turbocharged 4-cylinder that actually that would be better. Perhaps the 130 horsepower version that's not available in this car is a bit better, I don't know. In terms of visibility, the front visibility is quite good, although the bonnet slopes dramatically away at the front, so if you really want to be sure about parking, if you live in a city or something, maybe you could specify front parking sensors in your Karoq. We do have a reversing camera on this car. It's a very clear one because the screen is so nice and big and the resolution and quality is so good. The mirror is an automatic dimming type. It is the same out of my old Seat Toledo, so in a car like this is so big, perhaps that's not the best, but there we go. Mirrors are nice and big. Have got blind spot monitoring as well in this car, which is fantastic. That's one of the features I would actually love to have had in my car. Overall, it does feel very good. The steering wheel is at a nice angle. You can adjust it for reach and rake. This is, I think, fully out. Yeah, it's fully out, and I put it down a bit for my Fergus has it. And even the lever just reminds you of the kind of quality that Volkswagen Group products have been famous of for many, many years. In conclusion, then, what do I think of the Skoda Karoq? It does remind me of what could be done when the Volkswagen Group put their heads together and actually come up with really good bits for all of their brands, in this case Skoda. However, I think there are one or two ergonomic compromises in this car that I wasn't expecting. And also, I'm a little bit concerned about some of the quality of the interior trim. But it is actually a very nice car indeed. Oh, excuse me, I'm terribly sorry. I thought Christmas only comes once a year. Thank you for watching this episode of Tweed Jacket Reviews. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I find cars for people on a professional basis. To find out more, please visit my website or my Facebook page. Links are in the description below. Thank you.